Imagine reaching into your pocket for spare change and unknowingly holding a Washington quarter worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. Most people spend these rare coins without ever taking a second look, but collectors know that a tiny minting error, a rare date, or a unique variety can turn a simple 25-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. Have you ever handed a quarter to a cashier without giving it a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking coin was actually worth far more than the car in your driveway, or even your entire house? Every day, millions of Americans spend Washington quarters without realizing that a handful of incredibly rare examples have become legendary among collectors. One of the most fascinating is the 1968 Washington quarter with no mint mark. While most examples are worth only face value or a small premium, a tiny number featuring exceptional condition and rare minting errors have sold for astonishing prices, with some extraordinary specimens fueling discussions of values reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Before you spend another quarter, stay with me until the end, because the coin sitting in your pocket today could deserve a second look. There are two kinds of people in the world. The first spends every coin without hesitation. The second pauses, looks closely, and sometimes discovers a hidden treasure. That small decision has changed lives in the coin collecting world. History has repeatedly shown that overlooked pocket change can become the centerpiece of prestigious collections. The question is simple. Which person are you going to be the next time you receive change? The story begins in 1968, a fascinating year for American coinage. After the Coinage Act of 1965 transformed the composition of circulating quarters from 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad design, the United States Mint entered a new era. Production increased dramatically to satisfy public demand, and millions of Washington quarters rolled off the presses. Philadelphia struck quarters without placing a mint mark on the coin, while Denver used a D and San Francisco used an S for special collector issues. Because Philadelphia quarters naturally carried no mint mark, many people overlook them completely. Yet within those millions of ordinary coins, a microscopic number possess unusual characteristics that make advanced collectors stop in their tracks. Now here's where the mystery begins. Not every 1968 quarter without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, the overwhelming majority are common circulation coins. The real excitement starts when a no-mint mark Philadelphia quarter also displays rare production errors or survives in virtually flawless condition. That combination is extraordinarily difficult to find because most coins entered circulation immediately and accumulated decades of wear. Before we go any further, here's a challenge. If you have a jar of loose change somewhere in your home, think about it for a moment. Is it sitting in the kitchen, the garage, a dresser drawer? After this video, check it carefully. Thousands of collectors have found surprising coins in places they ignored for years. The first characteristic serious collectors examine is the strike quality. A sharply struck 1968 Washington quarter displays crisp hair details above George Washington's ear, bold lettering, and exceptionally clear feathers on the eagle's reverse. Weakly struck coins lose these fine details quickly, making fully struck examples much more desirable. Next comes surface preservation. Professional grading services evaluate coins using the mint state scale. While circulated examples are abundant, mint state coins become dramatically scarcer with every increase in grade. A coin graded MS-66 is already considered impressive. MS-67 examples are significantly rarer. Once you reach MS-68 territory, you're looking at coins that survived nearly 6 decades with almost no visible imperfections. Those elite examples become fierce targets whenever they appear at major auctions. But condition alone isn't always enough to create headlines. Collectors become truly excited when minting errors enter the picture. One of the most desirable possibilities is a dramatic double die. During die creation, if the design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles, noticeable doubling may appear on lettering, numbers, or Washington's portrait. Genuine double dies are highly collectible because the error exists on the die itself rather than occurring after the coin leaves the press. Another remarkable error is an off-center strike. Imagine the coin blank entering the coining press slightly misaligned. Part of the design fails to appear while another portion shifts dramatically toward the edge. The more dramatic the misalignment, provided the date remains visible, the more valuable the coin may become. Then there are broad strikes. These occur when the retaining collar fails during the striking process. Instead of forming a perfectly round coin with a defined rim, the metal expands outward, creating an unusually wide appearance. Broad-struck Washington quarters instantly capture attention because they look noticeably different from ordinary examples. Collectors also search for clipped planchets. Before coins are struck, circular blanks are punched from long metal strips. Occasionally, overlapping punches remove a crescent-shaped section from the blank. When struck, the missing area remains part of the finished coin, creating one of the most recognizable mint errors in American numismatics. Another fascinating possibility involves die cracks and retained die breaks. As production dies wear out, stress fractures can develop. These cracks transfer raised lines onto coins, while larger breaks create dramatic raised metal formations. Advanced collectors often seek spectacular examples because every die eventually deteriorates in a unique way. Here's something many people never consider. Have you ever looked at the edge of a quarter? Most people haven't. Yet examining the edge can reveal important clues about authenticity, damage, or striking quality. Sometimes the smallest detail separates an ordinary coin from an extraordinary discovery. Among the rarest production mistakes are wrong planchet errors. Imagine a quarter accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. The resulting coin may appear smaller, lighter, or exhibit unusual color characteristics. Because these errors escaped multiple quality control steps, they remain among the most prized treasures in modern American coin collecting. Another highly desirable feature is the presence of significant die rotation. Normally, when you flip a quarter from top to bottom, both sides align correctly. On rare occasions, mechanical issues during production create a rotated reverse. Collectors carefully measure these rotations, and substantial misalignment can command impressive premiums. Now let's discuss something that often creates confusion. You may hear extraordinary stories claiming that every 1968 no-mint mark quarter is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That simply isn't true. Most circulated examples remain common. The exceptional values belong only to coins with remarkable combinations of elite preservation, certified authenticity, and genuinely rare mint errors. That's exactly why careful examination is so important. Imagine finding two identical-looking quarters. One has ordinary circulation wear and spends for 25 cents. The other receives a top professional grade, displays a dramatic mint error, and attracts intense competition among elite collectors. The difference in value could be staggering, despite both coins beginning life on the same production line. The coin market has changed dramatically over the past decade. Wealthy collectors compete aggressively for the finest known examples because registry sets reward absolute perfection. Every time a new record is established, interest spreads throughout the collecting community. Suddenly, forgotten coins tucked away in old albums receive fresh attention as people wonder whether they possess the next great discovery. This growing demand has transformed high-end numismatics into an international marketplace. Major auction houses regularly showcase exceptional American coins before audiences of passionate collectors from around the world. When two determined bidders refuse to back down, prices can soar far beyond pre-sale estimates. Now think about this. How many quarters have passed through your hands over the last 10 years? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? Chances are you never inspected more than a handful of them. Somewhere, another collector may already be searching the same dates you overlooked. Professional authentication has become essential for valuable discoveries. Reputable grading services examine every aspect of a coin, including authenticity, surface preservation, strike quality, luster, and originality. Their certification provides confidence for both buyers and sellers, especially when significant money is involved. For extraordinary examples, collectors have discussed values approaching an incredible $789,000. That figure represents only the most exceptional circumstances involving an ultra-high-grade specimen with remarkable rarity and intense collector demand. Such prices are reserved for coins that stand far above ordinary examples and attract fierce competition among advanced collectors. These are not everyday circulation finds, but they remind us how dramatically rarity and condition can influence value. Here's a funny thought. Somewhere, someone is probably using a potentially collectible quarter to keep a wobbly table from rocking. That's the strange reality of coin collecting. Hidden treasures often spend decades hiding in plain sight because nobody thinks to look. The excitement surrounding coins like the 1968 no-mint mark Washington quarter extends beyond money. Every coin tells a story about American history, manufacturing technology, and the incredible journey from the mint into everyday commerce. Holding one in your hand means touching a piece of history that has traveled through countless pockets, cash registers, and family collections. So what should you do if you discover a promising example? Handle it carefully by the edges. Avoid cleaning it under any circumstances because even gentle polishing can permanently reduce collector value. Compare its details with trusted references, inspect it under proper lighting, and if you believe you've found something truly unusual, consider professional evaluation before making any decisions. Remember, successful collectors aren't lucky because they find rare coins every day. They're successful because they examine coins that everyone else ignores. Patience, knowledge, and attention to detail consistently outperform guesswork. The next time you receive change at the grocery store, a gas station, or your favorite restaurant, don't rush to spend those quarters. Take just a few seconds to check the date, inspect the surfaces, and look for anything unusual. That simple habit could become the beginning of an unforgettable discovery. The 1968 no-mint mark Washington quarter reminds us that extraordinary opportunities sometimes hide inside ordinary objects. Most examples will never become famous, but the possibility that one exceptional coin escaped into circulation continues to inspire collectors across America. Every search carries hope, every coin tells a story, and every collection begins with a single careful look. And here's the exciting part. If you think this quarter is impressive, wait until you see the next coin we'll uncover. In our next episode, we'll reveal another ultra-rare American coin with an incredible history, astonishing mint errors, and the kind of value that could completely change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Have you ever emptied your pockets at the end of the day, tossed a handful of quarters into a jar, and never looked at them again? Millions of Americans do exactly that every single day. But what if one of those ordinary-looking quarters wasn't ordinary at all? What if a single 1990 Washington quarter was quietly hiding in your spare change, waiting to be discovered by someone who understands what everyone else overlooks? That's the difference between a spender and a collector. A spender sees 25 cents. A collector sees history, rarity, and sometimes a life-changing opportunity. And today, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating stories in modern American coin collecting, the mysterious 1990 Washington quarter with rare minting errors that have turned ordinary pocket change into coins worth astonishing amounts. Some exceptional error examples have generated enormous excitement among collectors, with extraordinary pieces being discussed with values reaching as high as $633,000 under exceptional circumstances. Before you spend another quarter, stay with us because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you look at your change forever. The Washington quarter has been a symbol of American history since 1932, honoring the nation's first president while serving as one of the most recognizable coins ever produced. By 1990, the Denver Mint had struck hundreds of millions of quarters, making the date appear incredibly common. At first glance, nothing about the 1990 Washington quarter suggests rarity. It carries the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the majestic eagle on the reverse. Millions were released into circulation, passed through cash registers, vending machines, parking meters, and banks across the country. Yet hidden among this massive production were a handful of extraordinary mistakes. Mistakes that transformed ordinary quarters into legendary collectors' treasures. Here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. The United States Mint is designed to produce coins with incredible precision. Every blank planchet is carefully prepared. Every die is manufactured to exact specifications. Every strike is intended to create a perfect coin. But perfection isn't always achieved. Occasionally, mechanical failures, Damaged dies, alignment problems, or planchet errors create coins unlike anything collectors expect. These accidental creations become the hidden gems of numismatics, often escaping into circulation unnoticed for years. Now pause for just a second. If you have a coin jar sitting in your kitchen, a drawer filled with loose change, or even a wallet with a few quarters inside, think about this. How many of those coins have you actually examined? Most people never look beyond the date. That's exactly why valuable error coins continue to be found decades after they were minted. One of the most desirable varieties involves dramatic off-center strikes. During the minting process, if a blank planchet isn't positioned correctly beneath the dies, only part of the design is impressed onto the coin. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, these off-center errors can become highly collectible. The more of the design remains visible while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more attractive the coin becomes to serious collectors. Every percentage of misalignment tells a different story, making each surviving example unique. Another remarkable error involves broad strikes. Normally, the retaining collar surrounds the coin during striking, giving it its standard diameter and distinctive reeded edge. When the collar fails, the metal spreads outward under enormous pressure, creating a coin that appears wider than normal with distorted lettering and missing edge reeds. Broad-struck quarters immediately stand out when compared side by side with regular examples, making them favorites among error specialists. Collectors also search intensely for double die varieties. This occurs during die production rather than during the striking process. Slight misalignment while creating the die can leave double details visible on letters, numbers, or design elements. Under proper magnification, these doubled features become unmistakable. The strongest examples display noticeable separation in inscriptions and details that cannot be explained by simple wear or machine doubling. Another fascinating possibility is the dramatic die crack. Over time, repeated striking places tremendous stress on the hardened steel dies. Tiny fractures begin forming, and as they expand, molten-like raised lines appear on every coin struck afterward. Some die cracks become so large they create spectacular raised features crossing Washington's portrait or extending dramatically across the reverse eagle design. Collectors often describe these as fingerprints left behind by a die nearing the end of its working life. Then there are cud errors, among the most visually dramatic mistakes ever produced. When a piece of the die actually breaks away, metal flows into the missing section during striking, creating large raised blobs attached directly to the rim. These unusual formations instantly separate ordinary quarters from extraordinary ones. Genuine cuds are scarce, and major examples often command impressive premiums. Here's something many people never realize. Condition is just as important as rarity. A spectacular error hidden beneath decades of wear may still carry significant value, but an uncirculated example with blazing original luster can become exponentially more desirable. Professional grading services carefully evaluate strike quality, preservation, surface condition, and eye appeal before assigning a grade. Even a single point difference on the grading scale can dramatically influence collector demand. Now ask yourself one question. When was the last time you looked closely at the edges of your quarters? Most people never do. Yet the edge can reveal striking abnormalities, broad strike characteristics, clipped planchets, or other manufacturing anomalies that immediately signal something unusual. Sometimes the greatest clue isn't on the front or back of the coin at all. It's hiding on the side. The 1990D Washington quarter also attracts attention because truly significant errors are surprisingly elusive. Millions upon millions of normal examples exist, but genuine high-end mint errors appear only occasionally in the marketplace. That's why experienced collectors describe certain examples as ghosts. They exist, but sightings are rare. Years may pass before another comparable piece reaches a major auction, fueling competition whenever one appears. As America's interest in coin collecting continues to grow, demand for dramatic error coins has increased significantly. New collectors enter the hobby every year, while seasoned numismatists compete aggressively for elite pieces with outstanding eye appeal. Online auctions have expanded the marketplace beyond local coin shops, allowing extraordinary discoveries to attract worldwide attention. A coin sitting unnoticed in a household change jar can suddenly find itself being examined by experts from across the globe. Let's have a quick reality check. Imagine buying a cup of coffee with a quarter that later turns out to be a rare error worth thousands of dollars. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this are exactly why collectors inspect every coin before spending it. Sometimes treasure isn't buried underground. Sometimes it's sitting in your pocket, waiting for someone curious enough to notice it. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is assuming every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Damage caused after a coin leaves the mint, such as being squeezed, hammered, drilled, or altered, does not qualify as a mint error. Authentic mint errors occur during the manufacturing process. That's why education is your greatest investment. Learning the difference between genuine errors and post-mint damage protects both your wallet and your expectations. Professional authentication becomes essential whenever a potentially valuable error is discovered. Independent grading services examine every detail under high magnification, confirming authenticity while assigning an official grade. Certified coins inspire greater confidence among buyers, often resulting in stronger auction performance compared with uncertified examples. Documentation also preserves the coin's identity for future collectors. Now here's another challenge for you. Before this video ends, promise yourself that you'll inspect every 1990D Washington quarter you come across this week. Whether it's from a grocery store, a bankroll, or the bottom of an old piggy bank, give each one a careful look. You may never find a major error, but if you do, that single moment could become one of the most exciting discoveries of your collecting journey. The market for elite mint errors remains driven by rarity, authenticity, visual impact, and collector demand. Extraordinary examples with dramatic errors, exceptional preservation, and impeccable certification have inspired remarkable discussions within the hobby. While no ordinary 1990D Washington quarter is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, the rarest authenticated mint error specimens have captured tremendous attention, with exceptional pieces being associated with values reaching up to an astounding $633,000 under extraordinary market conditions. Those headline-worthy figures represent the very top of the collecting world, where rarity and competition collide. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this remarkable coin isn't simply about money. It's about awareness. Every coin carries a story. Most people never stop long enough to read it. Collectors do. They recognize that history, craftsmanship, and human error occasionally combine to create something truly extraordinary. What appears ordinary to millions can become unforgettable to the one person willing to look closer. The next time you receive change at a gas station, grocery store, restaurant, or bank, don't rush to spend those quarters. Hold them for just a moment. Examine the date. Look for the Denver Mint mark. Inspect the lettering, the rim, the edge, and every tiny detail. Because somewhere, perhaps even today, another remarkable discovery is waiting to be made by someone who refuses to ignore ordinary pocket change. And remember, today's hidden treasure may not even be the rarest coin still circulating. In our next episode, we'll reveal another ultra-rare American coin with an incredible history, astonishing mint errors, and eye-popping values that continue to surprise even veteran collectors. You won't want to miss that one, because your next life-changing discovery could already be hiding in plain sight. What if I told you that a single 1997D Washington quarter hiding in an old coin jar, forgotten glove compartment, or even the loose change in your pocket could be worth far more than 25 cents? Most people spend these coins without giving them a second glance. Collectors, however, understand something the average person does not. Every year, a tiny number of coins leave the mint with unusual characteristics that transform ordinary pocket change into highly sought-after collectibles. The difference between a spender and a collector often comes down to one simple decision: to look before you spend. Imagine discovering that the quarter you almost used for a vending machine could actually be worth thousands, or in extraordinary circumstances, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's exactly why the 1997D Washington quarter has become one of the most talked about modern coins among serious collectors. Before you assume every 1997D quarter is valuable, there's something important you need to know. The overwhelming majority are worth only face value or a modest premium in exceptional condition. However, a tiny number featuring dramatic mint errors or extraordinary preservation have attracted intense attention within the numismatic community. Those are the coins everyone hopes to find, yet almost nobody ever does. Take a quick moment right now and think about the last time you emptied your pockets or searched through a jar of loose change. Did you actually examine the dates and mint marks, or did every quarter look exactly the same? That simple habit could be the difference between overlooking a collectible and recognizing a remarkable discovery before it disappears forever. The Washington Quarter series has been one of America's most recognizable coins since 1932. Created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the design became an enduring symbol of American history. By 1997, millions of quarters were being produced every day at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date. Most entered circulation immediately, traveling through banks, stores, cash registers, and countless hands across the country. Because of the enormous production numbers, almost everyone assumes these coins have no special value. Ironically, that assumption is exactly what makes rare error examples so difficult to find today. Here's where the story becomes fascinating. During the minting process, every coin passes through several precise manufacturing stages. Metal strips are rolled to exact thickness, blanks are punched, annealed, cleaned, upset, and finally struck under tremendous pressure by hardened steel dies. Although modern technology is incredibly accurate, perfection is never guaranteed. Occasionally, something unexpected happens. A damaged die, improper alignment, incorrect pressure, or a planchet defect can create a coin unlike millions of others produced that same year. Collectors pay extraordinary attention to these mistakes because every genuine error tells the story of a unique moment inside the United States Mint. Once discovered, many are quickly removed from circulation, making surviving examples exceptionally scarce. Now here's a question that surprises many new collectors. If millions of 1997 D quarters exist, why are certain examples almost impossible to locate today? The answer is simple. Most error coins entered circulation unnoticed. They were spent repeatedly, damaged through years of use, or eventually withdrawn from circulation before anyone realized they were unusual. Every year that passes reduces the chances of finding an untouched example in everyday change. Let's talk about the specific characteristics that experienced collectors carefully examine. One of the most desirable is a dramatic off-center strike. Instead of the design appearing perfectly centered, part of the image shifts toward the edge because the blank was improperly positioned during striking. Significant off-center errors showing both the complete date and mint mark are especially desirable because they clearly demonstrate the minting mistake while preserving the coin's identity. Another important variety involves a broad strike error. In these cases, the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward. The result is a noticeably larger coin with distorted proportions and missing or incomplete reading along the edge. Genuine broad strikes immediately attract attention because their appearance differs dramatically from ordinary quarters. Collectors also search for double-struck examples. Imagine a quarter receiving one strike, shifting position, and then receiving another impression. The overlapping designs create spectacular visual evidence of the minting error. Strong double strikes are among the most dramatic errors produced by any modern mint and are significantly rarer than ordinary circulation coins. Die cracks and retained cuds also deserve careful examination. As dies age, tiny fractures can develop within the hardened steel. Those cracks transfer raised lines onto every coin struck afterward. Larger breaks may produce raised blobs of metal called cuds, creating highly collectible varieties when clearly visible and authenticated. Another fascinating possibility involves struck-through errors. During production, a small piece of debris such as grease, cloth fibers, or metal fragments may interfere with the striking process. The resulting coin displays unusual missing details or distinctive impressions that differ from normal wear. Genuine struck-through errors are fascinating because they preserve evidence of what interrupted the minting process during a fraction of a second inside the press. Attention reset. Before you continue listening, ask yourself one question. Do you have a container of old coins sitting somewhere in your home right now? A coffee can in the garage? A piggy bank from childhood? or a forgotten collection inherited from family members? If the answer is yes, you may already own coins that deserve a much closer inspection. Condition is equally important. Even without dramatic errors, exceptionally preserved 1997 D Washington quarters graded at the highest mint state levels are surprisingly elusive. Modern coins often receive scratches, contact marks, or dull surfaces almost immediately after production because they collide with one another during transportation. Finding an example that remains virtually flawless decades later is considerably more difficult than many people imagine. Professional grading services evaluate every detail, including luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. A single-point difference on the grading scale can dramatically affect collector demand and market value. That is why experienced numismatists emphasize preservation just as much as rarity. Now let's address the number that captures everyone's attention. You've probably seen headlines suggesting that a 1997 D Washington quarter could be worth as much as $790,000. Extraordinary figures like this are generally associated with hypothetical combinations of exceptional circumstances, including an extremely rare and dramatic mint error, elite certified condition, unquestionable authenticity, and extraordinary competition between determined collectors at a major auction. Such prices are exceptional rather than typical, and most 1997 D quarters are not worth anywhere near that amount. Even so, the excitement surrounding remarkable error coins continues to grow. As more collectors enter the hobby and online auctions connect buyers from around the world, truly unique coins receive unprecedented attention. Scarcity combined with strong demand has repeatedly demonstrated that exceptional numismatic treasures can command astonishing prices when all the right factors come together. Here's something many people never consider. Every valuable coin was once ordinary pocket change. Before collectors recognized their significance, they passed through grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, and cash registers just like every other coin. Someone spent them. Someone ignored them. Someone missed the opportunity entirely. That reality reminds us that remarkable discoveries are often hiding in plain sight. Let's have a little fun. Think about how many quarters you've handed to parking meters, laundromats, vending machines, or toll booths over the years. Imagine if one of those coins had been a remarkable mint error. It's enough to make anyone look twice before spending their next handful of change. Another attention reset. If you have family members who save old coins, ask them before they cash in their jars at a counting machine. Once those coins disappear into circulation, a potentially important collectible could be gone forever. Spending just a few minutes examining dates, mint marks, and unusual features may prove far more rewarding than anyone expects. The current coin market remains driven by rarity, authenticity, and collector confidence. Serious buyers consistently pursue coins that combine fascinating stories with genuine scarcity. Error coins satisfy both requirements because each represents an unrepeatable event during the minting process. No two dramatic errors are exactly alike, making every authenticated example unique. If you believe you found an unusual 1997 D Washington quarter, resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning almost always reduces collector value by damaging the original surfaces. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges, place it in a protective holder, compare it with verified reference examples, and consider professional authentication if the characteristics appear significant. Patience and proper preservation often make the difference between protecting a collectible and accidentally reducing its appeal. The greatest treasure hunters aren't necessarily the luckiest people. They're the most observant. They slow down, examine details, and recognize that extraordinary discoveries usually hide among ordinary objects. That's exactly why coin collecting continues to captivate millions of Americans. Every handful of change carries a sense of possibility. Every forgotten collection tells a story. Every unusual coin invites one more question. What if this is the one everyone else overlooked? The next time a cashier hands you a Washington quarter, don't immediately slip it into your pocket. Turn it over. Check the date. Look for the D mint mark. Examine the edges, the lettering, the strike, and the overall condition. Most will be perfectly ordinary, but every once in a while, persistence rewards the prepared collector. And remember, Today's ordinary pocket change has surprised collectors before. The next remarkable discovery could already be sitting in your home, waiting for someone curious enough to notice it before everyone else does. If stories like this inspire you to search through your own collection, make sure you stay with us because our next episode explores another astonishing American coin that has stunned collectors with its incredible rarity, mysterious minting errors, and headline-making auction results. You won't want to miss the next hidden treasure that could be waiting in your pocket right now.